Do we have any representative from 1D?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Jason Bagshaw. I was fortunate enough to be here last month. I'm here again. With that being said, in the area of the boundaries, we've done pretty well, specifically in the last 2 weeks. We've actually had no violent crime incident, which is any type of felony, robberies or anything like that. The other issue that I talked about last week, and I'll touch upon it again this week, is theft from autos. We actually have had a slight decline in it, but I'm always, I guess the nicest way, I'm just confused sometimes. We're seeing laptops getting stolen from cars, and I'm just always confused on why people leave laptops in plain sight. So just like last week meeting, in this meeting, I urge you, if any friends, co-workers, whoever, just remind them to not do it. I mean, I would love to live in a perfect world where we could just leave our valuables out, but unfortunately, there are some people out here up to no good. So if you can pass that word, keep passing that word. I would like to think that hopefully last month when I mentioned it, that the word started getting out, and that's why we're seeing a decline in it, even though the summer months are coming upon us. It's getting more busy. Besides that, the only other issue that we're dealing with on the 1D side of it is Walmart. We just see that drives our property crime because of the theft and shoplifting from there. Besides that, I don't have anything else to report, which I take as good news. If there's any questions or anything, read it down or turn it over to you guys.
Do you have any questions from the commission before we open it up to the audience?
With regards to when you speak about Walmart, is there anything you can do about, people sit at the intersection and they don't, like, and specifically in vehicles where they stop and, just keeping them.
The Uber portion and.
That and then it backs up
Yes.
along, especially along H Street and First.
Yes, I totally agree with it and have experienced what you're talking about. What we can do is twofold approach. Is one, of course, we can tell the guys in the 1D officers to monitor it and to pay attention to it. And then if there's any issue, we do have our SOG traffic unit in which we're able to put in requests, and they come and specifically, that is their sole mission, is to ticket and target that area, whereas they won't get burdened with answering radio runs or whatnot. That's their sole purpose to do it. So we put that on everyone's radar and hopefully start seeing an alleviation of that.
I got a question. On North Capitol, N Street, Northwest, there, when the weather breaks, you get warm, you get a amongst crowd right
Yep.
there. Are y'all addressing that issue?
Yeah, so we have the area, it's Sursum Quarter is the area that we're talking about. We have a special beat right now assigned to that area where there's 2 officers on every tour that they are in that 1-2 block radius. They are a special beat and that is their focus. We're trying to anticipate what exactly is going to be the challenge, if there's going to be a shift in that group or whatnot with the development closing. So that's going to need to be seen on that level if they're going to shift someplace else or what is going to happen. But we do have a special beat targeting that. And of course, our crime suppression team rotates around the 1st district, but they also target through there.
Excellent. Can we like to open it up to the audience, sir?
Yeah, my name is Jeff Burger, community manager of Washington Apartments, located on 7th and M and O Streets. But I know that as the weather continues to get warmer, we have a congregation of individuals who like to be on the corner of 7th and at that park. But I do see, when I'm walking the property in the morning, I will see maybe 3 or 4 officers on the O Street side, communicating, but if I can get them to possibly go over 1 block, they deter some activity, because this is.
Absolutely. So here's what I can do for you in the meantime, and I'm not passing the buck. That is the 3rd district that you're describing, and I'm not
Sure.
I'm not passing it on. What I can do is I will absolutely relay this message to the third district managers and make sure that they get that message in your concern.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Just so you know, I met with Lieutenant last Tuesday at about the exact same time, and I walked through that neighborhood with him so he could see all of the areas that are of concern to us in the neighborhood. We took the whole radius of, from O to M and from 5th to 8th. We walked the whole area and showed him all the crevices that he would be paying attention to since he's a new lieutenant in the area. So,
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, it doesn't look like we have anybody from 3D or 5D, so I think we can move forward with the agenda. I
Thank you.
believe, thank you very much, officer. I believe Ms. Hunter is a bit delayed, so why don't we move forward with Ms. Fastbaugh from Abra?
Where would you like me to stand?
Just so they can
Right
see.
here.
Yeah, just as so long as they can, yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Hi, everyone. Hi, I haven't seen you in a while. My name is Sarah Fashbaugh. I'm the Community Resource Officer at the Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Administration. I try to make my rounds around the ANCs to remind everyone of a couple things. We also do have one thing coming up. I don't want to bury the lead because it's probably the most important, but I have a community training for the public on Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. It really doesn't take 2 hours. I don't want to be up there talking for 2 hours. You don't want to be sitting there 2 hours after work. So it's more about an hour, but it starts at 6:30. Please, please, please come to that. The reason why that's important right now is because Class A liquor stores are up for renewal. You should see that most, if not all, have renewed by today, which opens up a 45-day public commentary period where you can file a protest letter. So if you have any issues with any of these liquor stores in your area and you see the placard up, please talk to your commissioner or talk to me and I can tell you what your rights are as a resident of the district. You do have a right to protest establishments that are no longer appropriate for your neighborhood, and we can get into that.
Where is the
Lastly,
community training?
I'm sorry?
Where is the community training?
Oh, good question. I got a little ahead of myself. The community training is at Abra's headquarters at the Reeve Center on 2014th Street Northwest. We're on the 4th floor. I left some business cards in the back, same address as the one that's on my business card. And you can shoot me an email and I can tell you more information if you have any questions about it. But Thursday at 6:30. But the last thing I wanted to mention, and I put on the back of my business card, is our enforcement hotline number. We have 3 teams of investigators working all hours that people sell and serve alcohol in the district. So if you have any concerns about any establishment, please call us. That number is 202-329-6347. That phone number is manned from 7 p.m. up until 3 a.m. 7 days a week. And during holiday hours, we obviously man it until 4 or 5 a.m. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I always make the terrible joke that if I don't have an answer for you, I know who to annoy to get you the answer you need. So please contact me. Does anybody have any questions about renewal season or anything like that? Yeah. Okay, give me a call. Okay. Anybody? Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we, are you with 3D or 5D? by chance?
3D, yeah.
3D, excellent, come on up.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
My name is Officer Thomas Sewell. I'm with the 3rd District. I've been, just a little background, I've been a member for about 4 or 5 years. I've been assigned to 3D for all of it. This specific area down in 308, I know that's where we're at. I've never actually been assigned here, but I've been assigned to pretty much every other PSA. We just got in 3D it's a brand new unit. It's our mountain bike unit. So every other district has a mountain bike unit. They operate district-wide. We just started as well. So we started on Sunday. We're going to be all over the district, including obviously down here. We're trying to spend a lot of time down here now. So I do have some business cards that I can pass out. I also do have an email address that if anyone wants to get that from me, actually I'll give it to you. But it's 3D Bike Tech. Let me double check on that. But so if anyone actually does want it, they can. Sorry, I can't get my jacket open. Actually, my phone's here. So if you do have concerns, I don't know exactly where everyone is. I don't know if they're down here, but all throughout the 3rd District, you can email this email and send any concerns you may have. So it's 3D Bike Tax, so it's BIKETAC@gmail.com. Any concerns you can forward on to there. We can kind of help you out, whatever it might be. And this is Lieutenant Smith from the 3rd District, so I'll pass it on to him. So.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
Solo coming down. Something I was gonna talk about, have talked about in other meetings that I've gone to, is the bike tech unit, something we think is gonna be really effective in being able to focus in on certain problem areas, do some surveillance operations, stuff that we can do to really affect individual criminals that can, substantially affect the crime rate in the event we catch the right people. So one thing I just wanted to talk about real quick, the monthly stats with relation to last year, got some good news with regard to ADWs were down 67% from 3 to 1, robberies down 50% from 2 to 1. Theft from autos down from 17 in 2017 to 9, so that's down 47%. Other thefts are down 27%. So total property crime down 40%, and total violent crime is down 60%. So we're moving in the right direction. Hopefully, these guys and ladies can help us keep that going in the right direction.
Can I ask a question? My single member district's part 3D, part 5D, but I was dealing over the weekend with, there's a vacant property in my district that has, it wasn't boarded up properly in the back, and there was a man squatting with a vicious animal, and we called 911. They knew him, they knew the dog. They said, if you see the dog, go inside.
Right.
But animal control couldn't go on the property unless they have permission, even though it's deemed a vacant property. Can you explain when you run into a squatter, there are vacant properties throughout this, especially in our area, what the rights are and what officers are allowed to do versus what they need permission from the owner? And how, because it's a slippery slope when it's vacant, and sometimes the owners don't.
Yeah, that's a strange situation. We had a case actually, I believe, go to Supreme Court recently in reference to some folks having a party at a vacant property. And we won, but you can see how far it went. It was a tough call scenario. Basically, if you have a vacant property like that, something we are going to need to do is maybe take a little bit more time and get the owner's information so we can get properly boarded up. Obviously, that's part of the problem. If it's somehow a nuisance property, that's something MPD we can go to the city, to the Attorney General's office, and get them to file papers with the owner to keep it from being a nuisance, to abate the nuisance in some way. But it's going to be tough for MPD to actually take official action if we don't know who the owner of the property is. Yes.
Yeah, I was just speaking out loud. I said they actually do that, open up a abandoned house and throw a party.
Well, yeah, that actually happened. I don't know if you all saw that in the news. It was a case that went to the Supreme Court because officers went in and arrested a bunch of people because there was a lot of nefarious activity going on in that party. I won't get graphic, but we ended up talking to the person who said they had arranged the party, and they admitted they didn't have permission to have the party there. And so a bunch of the people who were inside the location were arrested for unlawful entry, and they took that case, and I believe it went all the way to Supreme Court with regard, but it was the civil case against MPD, which was the lawsuit for unlawful arrest. I believe it went to Supreme Court, and luckily we won. But it's not a particularly good position to be in, sued and even having the case go that far. So we definitely will try to get, in a case like that, get in touch with the owner, find out who owns it. And I've personally worked with the OAG's office on nuisance properties in the past with regard to particularly prostitution, and but it works with any types of nuisances.
Thank you.
We have a similar problem on the 500 block of O Street. It's a property that,
Yeah, I've called many times.
there's a homeless man, I think, that stays in there now. But, you never see any type of citations on the building. I don't know who the person is, where they live, but I don't think they paid taxes several times. Alex, you know about that property?
They're living, they open, the basement door is open and they're living in the basement.
So it's a long-term problem. We've been through DCRA and OTR, and I think it's time for us to revisit the status of that property.
Do you think that's something the council member could help us with? We can get you the address. But it's,
Yeah.
they should be, I mean, I walk by there all the time, there's people created their home, there's, you can see it in the front, there's plenty of.
Yeah, I think Attorney General's office is the way to go with that. Any other questions?
So on behalf of Commissioner Brown, who is unable to be here this evening, are you familiar with the ongoing problems with parking in the alley by parents from the KIPP school?
KIPP school, yeah.
Can you update us at all on any progress being made with addressing that?
So, I actually sent an email today to Mr. Mame, I believe is his name, about, because they have a staff parking lot that is on, the entrance is on Fifth Street. The entrance, there's two entrances on Fifth Street. And it appears that they have designed a cutout for pickup and drop off of students. The only thing I can imagine that will help alleviate the problem, other than having dedicated officers there every day, moving people on, from that alley, would be to have the school speak to the parents with regard to which students are walking students and which students have to get picked up. The walking students can be released through the whatever doors of the school that they have available. The students that need to be picked up need to get held back, and the parents need to come through, drive through the parking lot, pick the students up, and then exit out back onto Fifth Street. That's really the only way that I've been able to think of that can help alleviate the problem, because otherwise the parents are just going to continue to park there unless we have somebody. They're going to continue standing in that alley unless we have somebody to actually there to move them on. They actually do have an officer who is outside, somewhat directing traffic, but they're more there for the safety of the students, as far as keeping the students out of the street from getting hit by cars and stuff like that. So unless the school themselves actually get another part-time officer just to deal with that alley, or the school implements at least some form of the plan to get the parents to create that line through the staff parking lot. And I mean, it's something that they could use cones to keep the vehicles away from the staff, vehicles that are in the lot. I'm not sure what else I can propose. I proposed that today. I'm waiting for an email back to see what their response is going to be. Because that's, unless they put some type of better signage or whatever in the alley, do not enter except residents or official vehicles or something like that. Because right now it only says no standing or parking. So I don't know what else can be truly effective other than somebody there enforcing it every day in the morning and the afternoon.
Well, I think it might be helpful if we were to invite representatives from the KIPP school to come to a future ANC meeting to discuss their proposed resolution to this. Because you're seeing the emails from folks on that block as I am. It's almost daily. People are getting pinned in, blocked in. They can't get their cars out because of the line of cars that are parked behind the houses on Fifth Street. So maybe they just need a little more motivation to understand the seriousness of the situation and the fact that they do need to take some action in coordination with the community and with MPD.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like they'd actually designed that space in that parking lot for drop off and pick up.
Yeah, that's what we had, given them, authorization for a curb cut to do, and somehow
Right.
they're not doing what they agreed to do
Right.
originally.
And I don't know, that's why I'm waiting to see what they say, because, I mean, if I was a staff member, I parked my car, I would be concerned about people maybe hitting my vehicle, just coming through, trying to get out and get to work or whatever in the morning, but that's why I think they can set up some type of barrier system and maybe have some, either parents or staff, parent volunteers or staff to assist with getting the kids out the cars in a timely fashion and getting them in the cars in a timely fashion. So,
Thanks for your proactive actions on our behalf on that.
yeah, my pleasure.
One question,
Yes.
do you have any intel on, the south side of Kennedy fences, look like, I don't know if a car hit it or, I don't know what transpired, but the fence is on,
No, I'm not aware of
Long
that.
Street.
yeah, it's on Oak Street, right across the street from Giant.
No, I'm not aware of that. When did, you know when it happened?
I've seen for the last 2 weeks or
Yeah,
so.
Oh,
past 2
really?
weeks, like, I don't know if a car hit it or, I don't know, something transpired for enough force for that fence to be knocked almost parallel to the ground.
And you said it's on the
On the
south
south
side
side.
of Kennedy Playground?
Yeah, I just
on
didn't
Oak
know if
Street?
something happened that required the police to respond.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it.
Okay,
I can try to find that out.
I'll reach out to Christopher Shorty.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question too. On that bike share, do y'all get a lot of stolen bikes? Because I see a lot of them wind up in my neighborhood, in my, in the district.
The dockless ones.
The,
So they wind up on K Street, Bell Street, back alleys, and now they, got new scooters out, which that's another problem. So
Yeah.
What do y'all have to, what can y'all do about that? Because I understand that
Yeah, I see a lot of
it's a
kids taking
difficult
those.
task.
yeah, okay, so if you go back and think about the original bike share program, where you had the specific docks for the bikes at certain locations around the city. So you pick up a bike at one location, you have your account, you pick up the bike, you ride it to another location, you put the bike in the next dock. That program was a lot harder for people to steal, because once you put the bike in the dock, it'd be a lot easier for somebody to see you tampering with the whole dock, right? So the new program, or a additional program, the bikes just get left, I guess, on the sidewalk somewhere, and you use an account, and there's a locking mechanism on the bike or on the scooter that can be deactivated once you sign in to rent the bike or the scooter. Problem is that the kids can actually pick the bike or scooter up, take it into the alley, destroy the locking mechanism, and then they can ride around on it all day for free. And then they end up abandoning it, and it just lays anywhere all broken and destroyed. Yes, ma'am.
But then there have been a bunch of kids who are riding these actually motorized bikes in the Kennedy Rec Center and all, and nobody's doing anything. I mean, they're riding right on the playground, right in front.
You mean like motorcycles?
The
The
scooters,
scooters, I saw,
electric scooters,
I was-
electric
Oh,
scooters.
electric scooters?
They're
Okay.
like short bikes that they actually sit on and ride.
I've seen
Yeah, that's
kids playing
that's
on
gonna be a
scooters right in the
hazard.
corner of 8th and O.
Yeah, because they've been riding right in the Kennedy all the time, day, night, right in front, in the playground.
Yeah, that's something we would need to get a call on. If we see that, we definitely would like to get a call. So we
Okay, I
can
mean,
go
I
and-
didn't, I just moved into the area, and I
Yeah.
mean, I've been seeing them
Okay.
riding
Yeah.
around in front of the playground with the kids and changing riders and,
Yeah, we definitely don't want people riding motorized vehicles in the playground, because that, that
and
can-
even the scooters, they're actually, will ride the scooters right on the sidewalk and stuff, and,
Okay, yeah, please call us when you see that. So with regard to your question about what can we do, it's tough when you have the kids who have a scooter that's potentially stolen, because we can't just stop a kid because we see him on a scooter, but, because we don't have a victim who's saying, hey, that person stole my scooter, Under certain circumstances, yeah, if you see it's destroyed, we can talk to them, take it away from them, maybe, contact the company. But it's really a unique situation with emerging technology that is going to be tough to deal with. They need to come up with a way to better secure the scooters and bikes.
So what the company doing about it
It's my understanding that it's a pilot program for a number of months with the department, DDOT, and they've given a few, certain number of permits to companies to test it, and then they'll evaluate whether or not to move forward, so.
I understand they get a free app for the first time they ride it, then after that, then it's
Of the motorized ones I've seen, the line ones, they say on it, it's $1 to ride it the first, but I don't know how some of these kids are.
Well, I think at our next meeting, maybe we will suggest writing a
Yeah.
note to DDOT saying that we don't endorse this program. We prefer to, but we can decide. how we
Yeah, I
want
think,
to-
yeah.
Because I know I
we'll-
read a
we'll
bunch
get
of them, they
deeper
were
into,
riding right on the sidewalk and,
Yeah.
you know, taking up the whole sidewalk, just
this-
as I was walking home on P Street this evening.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
this might
appear to be a
better
program
addressed
that's
through,
working.
Yeah, through DDOT, but, well, Officer, thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time. Is there any, I don't mean to cut you off, is there any other
No,
deeper?
just, please continue to call us if you get stuff on your Ring cameras, package theft people, theft from other people. Make sure you call us with any reports of those crimes so we can create a file, and once we catch them, we can charge them with multiple offenses. Yes, sir.
One last question. For cars that are either abandoned or illegally parked on our property, you know, we call MPD and so forth out and cite those vehicles. Is there an expiration for that citation?
No, you're saying if it's parked on your private property?
Yes.
No, just immediately call a tow truck.
Okay.
Yeah, just call a tow truck. If you have a ticket on there requesting towing from your private property, just call a tow truck and they'll take it away. Yes, sir.
What if they're parked in front of your private property that blocks you from accessing
On the street,
or an alley?
like an alley, I believe we generally will call, I haven't been in patrol for a while, so, but I think we generally would call a city crane, like a DPW crane or an MPD crane to come and relocate the vehicle.
So call the police and then y'all come?
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you for having us.
First up on the agenda, we have do we have a representative from Bow Tie?
Hi, good evening. Sidon Johannes on behalf of Bowtie, and this is the applicant. And this is an application for a sidewalk cafe for an existing establishment. And we are requesting both approval of the DDOT application as well as the ABRA application. So this is for the same hours of operation until 11 p.m. And the proposed hours of service is service and consumption 11 a.m. is when it'll start, 11 p.m. it'll close. And we're requesting 52 seats. So many of you may have noticed there's already some space out there, and we initially applied for a summer garden and was approved for a summer garden. Difference being private versus public space. Come to find out it's actually public space. So we are here today to try to be in compliance and asking ANC to support it.
Great. This is in Commissioner Brown's district, which is absent today. But Commissioner Patro chairs the alcohol license, and see what the group has to say.
Sure. Unfortunately, I was out of town for the normally scheduled meeting, and there was some miscommunication, and we weren't able to get a presentation for the committee. However, I have spoken to Commissioner Brown, and he has no objections, has heard no complaints about the previous operation of the summer garden on the location. So he has asked me to express support for both applications, both the public space application as well as the Abra summer garden permit. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that ANC 6E support both the public space application and the summer garden Abra application for Bowtie LLC operating as BKK Cook Shop at 1700 New Jersey Avenue Northwest, and that we communicate that support to the Alcoholic Beverage Licensing Administration and the Public Space Committee of DDOT.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Thank you.
And passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So just to be clear for the video, it was motioned by Commissioner Padro, seconded by Commissioner Jaffe. Next, we have the official naming of the alleyway of the 400 block of M Street.
Yeah, so last month we brought up, so for the last few prior months, we've had a number of discussions about the alley, and there are ongoing discussions about other matters. For this case, a number of residents who live in the carriage houses and homes along the alley have expressed concerns about not having a place to call their residents based on where their address is, as well as confusion with getting mail and public city services. So we initiated the process to speak with stakeholders. Councilmember Allen has been very helpful and has agreed to introduce legislation to initiate legislation to dedicate a name for the alley if the community got support behind a name that had significance. So the community went back and reached out to many residents who live on the alley and collected a name, Yale Steam Alley. Generously last month we were going to vote, but Commissioner Padro suggested that we reach out to a friend of the ANC, EHT Traceries, which does historic preservation research in the city, and also used to have their office on this alley. So we conducted them, and they were very happy to do this pro bono on behalf of the ANC. And what they found was, I can read their quick report quickly. Brown's Court, so it's historically known as Brown's Court, but the council member, because there's another Brown's Court around Capitol Hill, we thought it'd be best to think of another option that might work if we didn't want to continue with having two Brown's Courts. So Brown's Court Northwest is located at the interior square of 514 in the northwest quadrant of Washington, D.C. The triangular square 514 is bounded by M Street northwest to the north, 4th Street northwest to the east, New York Avenue to the southeast, L Street northwest to the south, and 5th Street northwest to the west. There is access to the alley from all 4 bounding streets. Until the alley was recognized as Brown's Court, it appears that the alley was merely known as a 30-foot wide public alley. In the event that the alley's name must change, EHT Traceries recommends choosing a name that resonates with the history of the square. As there is little known about the residents who inhabited Brown's Court, EHT recommends commemorating one of the existing historic resources located on the square. The two that they recommend are Fletcher's Court Alley or Yale Court Alley, Yale Steam Court Alley. So the ANC spoke with a number of the residents, and prior to this, the support was strongly around Yale Steam Alley. So I would like to make a motion, or well, do any of the commissioners have questions about the process first?
I guess my only comment was that the traditional usage has been to use the name of the establishment or the business or institution, and the name of the business was Yale Steam Laundry. And one of the recommendations that EHT Traceries had was to use Yale Steam Laundry, either court or alley. So I think that it would be in better keeping with the tradition to actually include the laundry.
I support that.
Would the people that live there support it?
I think we should reach out to them. We've collected feedback that they are strongly in favor of the Yale Steam. I'm happy to reach out. On behalf of what the conversations I've had with them, I think that they would support that, especially as a commissioner. I've had many conversations with the community about that, so I would feel comfortable supporting